The 2026 NBA Summer League has officially tipped off in Las Vegas, and day one gave us everything we wanted and even more. AJ Dybantsa and Darryn Peterson lived up to the hype in their matchup. We had players like Yaxel, Lendeborg, Morez Jr, and others deliver huge performances. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about all things day one of the NBA Summer League, so let's jump into it. And you know we have to start with AJ Dybantsa because in his debut matchup with Darryn Peterson, he gave Washington exactly what you would want from a number one pick. He controlled long stretches of the game, handled the ball like a primary creator, and ended up finishing with 27 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block in only 26 minutes. And the biggest positives to me was his ability to get downhill at will. Utah loaded up with help defenders on him, but Dybantsa still reached the paint. He drew contact and got to the line 8 different times. He also looked extremely comfortable rising into mid-range jumpers and using his strength to create separation. But the biggest concern to me was still his shot selection and his efficiency, as he went just 7 for 18 from the field, missed all 5 of his 3-point attempts, and settled for some difficult pull-up jumpers when there were easier opportunities that were available. But even with his inefficient shooting, he still dictated the game. Washington used him as a lead ball handler, and he rewarded that trust by setting the tone in a matchup against the number 2 overall pick in Darryn Peterson. And add in the perimeter defense, the rebounding, and the athletic plays at the rim that we saw, and I think Dybantsa already looks capable of becoming the centerpiece of the Wizards offense. And I believe he was the winner of the AJ Dybantsa-Darryn Peterson headline matchup we had on day one. But before I talk about Peterson, I have to talk about Trey Johnson and Will Riley, who also had really good games for the Wizards. Trey Johnson scored 26 points on 11 for 20 shooting and showed why he can still be a major part of this rebuild that they have there in Washington. He created offense from multiple levels, stayed patient in the pick and roll, and consistently generated separation off the dribble. The three-point shot wasn't necessarily efficient because he went just 2 for 8 from deep, but he never looked uncomfortable sharing the floor with another high-usage scorer like Dybantsa, and I think that's going to be important for him moving forward. And Johnson's ability to attack closeouts, run secondary actions, and score against tilted defenses could make him even more dangerous this upcoming season. Then we had Will Riley, who added in 18 points and delivered the final 6 points for Washington, which showed his value as a late-game shot creator and scorer. And Riley's going to give the Wizards another long wing who can attack off movement and punish defenses when they focus too much on Dybantsa, Johnson, or everyone else they have on that roster now. And Washington still has plenty to figure out defensively, but the scoring talent across this young core is becoming difficult to ignore. But now let's talk about Darryn Peterson, and although I thought AJ Dybantsa was a little better, I still think Darryn Peterson showed why Utah made him the number 2 overall pick in this year's draft. He didn't have the same efficiency that he showed during the Salt Lake City Summer League, but he gave Utah flashes of what you want from a number 2 overall pick. After scoring 28 points in an earlier appearance in Salt Lake City, Peterson finished his Las Vegas debut with 24 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block, and the Wizards trapped him, they pressured him near half court, and forced him to work for nearly every touch that he got. And although he started the game off slowly, he kept attacking and helped Utah erase a big first half deficit, and the shot making was still extremely impressive. Peterson hit a wrong foot floater, finished a left-handed runner off the glass, and just stayed aggressive when the game became physical. But the issue at times was his decision making. He shot 6 for 18 and committed 8 turnovers, several coming when he tried to split pressure or handle the ball in more crowded areas. And this is going to come with time, but Utah needs him to trust the pass earlier and create advantages without forcing it too much. But the encouraging part is that he already looks comfortable carrying a heavy offensive workload. And with all the talent that they have in Utah now, Peterson isn't going to have to create everything for himself like we see in Summer League, but if he tightens the handle and manages pressure better, which I think he will moving forward, he definitely can become the lead guard Utah has been missing. But to me, one of the best rookie debuts we saw in Las Vegas had to be Yaxel Lendeborg, who delivered maybe the most complete rookie performance of day one, and he basically continued what he had already shown during the California Classic. He finished with 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists while shooting 8 for 13 from the field and 2 for 4 from deep. And Golden State used him as more than a finisher. He pushed the ball up the floor, attacked mismatches, found cutters, and just made quick decisions when the defense collapsed. And then, when the game got close late, he scored the Warriors' final 9 points and closed the door on the Mavericks. And that versatility and composure explains a lot why he fits so well in Golden State. Lendeborg has proven that he can defend multiple positions, he can rebound outside his area, handle the ball in transition, and just play as a connective piece when the offense runs through its established creators like Steph Curry that they have there. And he doesn't need many touches to influence the game, but he can create when a possession breaks down. And his age means the Warriors are going to expect him to contribute sooner rather than later. And from what we've seen in Summer League, I think it's going to happen. And if the shooting remains reliable like we've seen over his 3 games so far, Lendeborg has a real chance to not only earn rotation minutes, but maybe even be the starting forward for Golden State once the season opens. But on the other end of the floor, we had Morez Johnson Jr., and I think Morez answered almost every question Dallas could have asked entering the Summer League. He finished with 27 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks while shooting 12 for 17 from the field. And the efficiency is what stood out the most to me, but the defensive activity may have been even more important. Johnson consistently covered ground, created turnovers, and protected the rim, and he played with the kind of physical edge Dallas is going to want next to Cooper Flag. Offensively, he looked great as well as he ran the floor, was able to finish through contact, and showed enough field to keep the ball moving instead of stopping possessions. And it was really cool to see his battle with his former Michigan teammate Yaxel Lendeborg, and it added even some more intensity to the game. And Johnson never backed down when the game became extremely physical, and his fit next to Cooper Flag is really easy to see. Both players can defend across the front court, they can rebound, and they can create transition opportunities without needing plays called for them. And Johnson will still have to prove that the jumper can stretch defenses, as he only went 1 for 4 from 3 in his Summer League debut, but Dallas doesn't need him to become a volume shooter right away. And if he continues showing that he can finish efficiently, defend with energy, and make simple reads, he will give the Mavericks a reliable front court piece that could also push for starting minutes soon. But another player I think lit it up in his debut was Darius Acuff for the Sacramento Kings, and although he's still searching for consistent efficiency, everything else about his Summer League performance has been encouraging. He led Sacramento to a win with 19 points, 7 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block. And although the shooting line was rough, as he was 6 for 20 from the field and 3 for 9 from deep, he did not let missed shots take him out of the game. Acuff continued getting into the paint, creating opportunities for himself and his teammates, and handled the responsibility of running the Kings offense. His finishing ability remains one of his best traits. He changes speeds, he's able to absorb contact, and he has enough creativity around the rim to score over lengthy defenders. But the biggest surprise to me was his defense. After that side of the floor raised questions in college, Acuff showed that he could stay in front of the ball as he forced 2 steals and competed throughout the game. And Sacramento is obviously still early in their rebuild, so he's going to receive a lot of on-ball reps, which gives him a chance to learn through mistakes. But obviously the best next step for him is going to be getting good shot selection and making that efficiency even higher. And if Acuff can do that, his downhill pressure and playmaking will make him one of the best guards in this rookie class. But Sacramento's best rookie wasn't even Darius Acuff in this game. I truly believe it was their 45th pick, Emanuel Sharp, as he looked like one of the best two-way players on the floor. He came off the bench and scored a team-high 21 points, while also adding 4 steals in just 26 minutes of action. In the game, Sharp knocked down 3 threes, got to the line 8 times, and played with elite intensity on both ends of the floor, but his defense was the real story. He picked up Keaton Wagler full court, denied him off the ball, and made every catch uncomfortable. And throughout the game, Wagler never found a rhythm, and Sharp deserves a large share of the credit. That kind of pressure can earn a young guard minutes quickly, especially on a team trying to establish a tougher identity like Sacramento. And from what I've seen from him in the Summer League so far, Sharp looks like he can defend the opponent's best perimeter scorer, he can hit open shots, and just bring energy off the bench. And he's already looking like a second-round pick who could way outperform where he was selected. And because of Sharp's defense, it was Keaton Wagler who had the roughest debut of any top pick from this year's draft. Wagler finished with just 7 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist, while shooting 1 for 7 from the field and 1 for 5 from beyond the arc. And Sacramento pressured him before he could initiate the offense and made almost every touch difficult. And Wagler didn't completely lose control of the ball, as he only had 1 turnover in the game, but he struggled a lot to turn any sort of ball pressure on him into an advantage of his own. And when the Kings trapped him, he usually made the correct read. Before a top pick, I just wanted to see more. The Clippers continued giving him on-ball reps despite these struggles because they need him to develop into a real creator. And with Kawhi Leonard likely gone and Darius Garland expected to share the backcourt with him, Wagler has a path to a major role, but after game 1, it looks like he might have a longer way to go than expected. But a rookie that looked extremely comfortable from the start of his debut was Labaron Philon Jr. for the Philadelphia 76ers, and Philon scored 11 points in the first quarter and finished with 18 points and 7 assists and knocked down 4 threes in their win over Detroit. And the overall efficiency from Philon wasn't necessarily great, as he shot just 6 for 19 from the field, but overall he controlled the pace and consistently put his teammates in good positions to succeed. His best moments came when he used the pick and roll to manipulate the defense instead of simply trying to beat his man, and I think that is exactly how he can earn minutes during the regular season. The 76ers already have established scorers in their backcourt in VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey, so Philon isn't going to need to dominate the ball every possession. He'll be able to come off the bench, organize the offense, and punish defenses with their second unit, and the 4 made threes from him were definitely encouraging to me because shooting will definitely determine how easily he can play next to Philadelphia's other creators. And although his efficiency needs to improve, I think it was a really solid debut for Labaron Philon. But the best player in the game for the 76ers to me was Johni Broome, as he finished with 19 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal, while going 9 for 18 from the field. And Broome gave Philadelphia an interior target in this one, as he cleaned up a lot of missed shots and helped the 76ers dominate the glass over the Pistons. And after playing only 11 NBA games as a rookie, this summer is extremely important for Johni Broome because he needs to prove his production can translate against stronger competition. And I think one of the big positives we saw was how active he remained without needing the offense to be built around him. He showed he could screen and roll, he fought for positions, and created extra opportunities and possessions for his team. And there will be a role available to him in Philadelphia if he shows that he can be a physical rebounder, bring interior defense, and efficient finishing behind their established frontcourt players. And if Broome shows that he can continue to control the boards and protect the rim, he can force his way into a larger role during his second season with Philadelphia. But on the other side of the ball, we had Ebuka Okorie, who gave Detroit a strong rookie guard performance, even though the Pistons came up just short in the game. The number 17 overall pick scored 20 points on 8 for 16 shooting, hit 2 of his 5 3-point attempts, and added 4 assists and 2 steals. And what stood out to me the most was the balance in his game. Okorie didn't rely on one type of shot. He showed that he could attack the lane, he also converted from the perimeter, and created enough for others to keep the offense from becoming predictable. He also competed extremely hard defensively and used his quickness to generate turnovers. And Detroit already has several young guards, and obviously their lead guard in Cade Cunningham, so Okorie's challenge will be proving he can help without controlling every possession. And I think this performance was a strong start because he showed he can score efficiently while still defending and passing. And if he's able to consistently make open threes, he can share the floor with Cade and work as a secondary ball handler. And encouragingly to me, Okorie looked composed in his first summer league game and showed why he made such a big jump in the NBA draft. But another rookie whose performance is going under the radar to me is Hannes Steinbach for the Charlotte Hornets, and Steinbach brought the rebounding presence that made him elite on the glass in college basketball. Coming off the bench in his summer league debut, he finished with 15 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal in only 22 minutes, and Steinbach stayed disciplined around the paint. He established position early and rarely drifted away from the areas where he could have the greatest impact. He also finished efficiently as he shot 4 for 7 from the field and made all 4 of his free throws. And Charlotte already has young centers in Ryan Kalkbrenner and Moussa Diabate, so Steinbach is going to have to separate himself through his physicality and consistency, and his rebounding gives him a clear advantage. And as the number 14th overall pick in this year's draft, Steinbach should have a real chance to compete for minutes early, and if he keeps playing like he did in Game 1, Charlotte's going to have a difficult time keeping him coming off the bench. But maybe the better performance on the Charlotte Hornets was Liam McNeeley. He produced one of the hottest shooting games of day one of the Summer League, scoring 28 points in 28 minutes and hitting 7 of his 8 3-point attempts. And McNeeley, to me, looked stronger than he did as a rookie, played with a lot more confidence, and let the ball go without hesitation whenever he had space. And I think McNeeley's biggest path to a larger role with the Hornets has to be becoming a reliable floor spacer, and in game 1, he showed just that. However, he did struggle inside the arc and finished just 9 for 18 overall, but the 3-point shooting completely changed the game for Charlotte. And I'm hoping McNeeley is able to prove that this wasn't just one night where he got extremely hot and he's able to continue this throughout the entirety of Summer League. But for Charlotte, this is exactly the type of performance you would want from a second-year player, as he looked more physically prepared, much closer to becoming a useful rotation piece for the Hornets. But another second-year player that I had my eye on was Joan Beringer from the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he's entering Summer League with a major opportunity, and he immediately looked ready for a larger role. Minnesota moved on from Julius Randle and Naz Reid this offseason, which is opening frontcourt minutes, and Beringer responded in his Summer League debut as a sophomore with 18 points, 12 rebounds, 4 blocks, and a steal in only 25 minutes of action. He started at power forward for the Timberwolves, which is where he would likely play if he was on the floor with Rudy Gobert, and showed that he could run the floor hard and gave the Timberwolves a constant presence around the rim on both ends of the floor. And the 4 blocks were extremely impressive because they showed how much defensive ground he can cover. And offensively, he shot 7 for 15 from the field and did most of his damage by finishing plays, attacking the glass, and using space created by the guards. And I truly think the best version of Beringer is when he screens, he dives to the rim, rebounds the ball, and defends multiple frontcourt positions. And the next step for him is going to be to prove that he can stay disciplined against NBA spacing and avoid chasing blocks. But with the frontcourt rotation in Minnesota changing, I think Beringer has a real chance of becoming a meaningful contributor for the Timberwolves in his second season. And lastly, I want to talk about Kobe Bufkin for the New Orleans Pelicans. And although Bufkin may not be a rookie or a second-year player, he played like someone fighting to extend his NBA career, and that's exactly what it is. After being waived by the Lakers, Bufkin joined New Orleans and opened with 30 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists in his Summer League debut. He shot 8 for 16 from the field, hit 5 of his 9 3-point attempts, and looked like the most polished scorer that we had on the floor. And Bufkin has dealt with injuries and inconsistent opportunities since entering the league, so this summer is less about development for him and more about proving he belongs on an NBA roster. And I think this was the perfect start. He showed his ability to create his own shot, punish defenders from deep, and played with the confidence of a guard who understood exactly what was at stake. And I think the Pelicans need guards who can create offense, space the floor, and handle secondary playmaking duties, and Bufkin has shown flashes of all three when he has been healthy. And although one strong game in the Summer League isn't going to erase the concerns for him, I think it's definitely a step in the right direction, and if he's able to stack together performances like this, he's going to earn a training camp invite or a roster spot on some NBA team, and Bufkin just looked determined to not let this opportunity disappear. So that wraps it up for me and day one of the NBA Summer League. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and also I want to know who you thought had the best performance from day one. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.